In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act,
Oh,
the
that's
notice
it.
requirements have been satisfied. Meeting dates for the year confirmed at the annual meeting and posted in the public bulletin board in the lobby of the municipal center, published in the record with first 10 days of the new year. Salute to the flag.
No, this is the pre-meeting.
Oh,
This is 7:45.
I'm sorry?
This is the pre-meeting. Official meeting is at 7:45.
so there's no agenda for the pre-meeting?
No,
we-
pre-meeting
in
is
the
just
in the pre-meeting, we normally just say, do you have anything to add to the agenda? I speak to Jewel, Lisette, and Bill, and then if there's nothing to be said, I ask the council if there's anything they want to talk about in the pre-meeting, and...
I do. I have a couple of things I want to talk about which are not on the agenda.
Okay.
I had a conversation with June about it. This is about the greenhouse at the Davis Johnson Park. I'm a member of the garden club now. I was there.
Was to drop the average age a bit.
Yeah. And it's in a state of disrepair, in the sense there's a lot of broken stuff which needs to be fixed. And June gave me what is really, I would say, a rough estimate, right, June? It's not like a formal estimate of, they don't have like vendor quotes on repairs to the thing. So what I would like to suggest is that the chair and vice chair of the garden club are both like master gardeners, very familiar with workings of greenhouses, and when we are working on what that needs to be, I think it would be a good idea to have them as part of that committee or whatever, whoever's going to be looking at what needs to be done in the green, because they know how to work the greenhouse, they know what, and they're the ones who are going to be using it.
But they've had several conversations with
Who's the chair and the vice chair?
Vivian is the chair,
Okay.
and Martin
Martin
Gilbert is
Gilbert,
the
Mark
right.
has come in here a couple of times,
right.
but I thought...
They've identified the issue.
Yes,
I thought
they
we
have.
resolved it to the point where Bob Colbert was going to take...
No, it's not a...
It's in the capital.
It's in the capital, but it's a kind of a ballpark estimate. So when you're working down to the actual nitty-gritty of it, we need a heater, which kind of heater? I think they're the people, since they will be using it and they know about it, everything about greenhouses, we should really get their input.
Oh,
on it.
absolutely.
So how would that work, June? Do we, who would, the new DPW person, when he comes
Correct.
in, after
Right.
that we
We'll-
start the process?
Right, we would meet with them and just give them an opportunity to
And
give us their
let me know
input.
so I can be
Right.
part of it.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. That is one thing. There was something else, but now I don't remember it. Oh, yes, and my second question, Mayor, which
Hold on, I want to talk about potential sexual harassment here. I mean, you have
What did you
an
do?
understanding here?
Because-
that this is okay?
Yeah. She's gonna sue me, and we're gonna split the result. Yeah, that's how we're.
Go ahead.
I noticed we don't have a tree lighting in Tenafly, a Christmas tree lighting. I was driving by Englewood Cliffs. They had a big tree lit up. They had a lovely ceremony. There were people singing and families were gathered there. We have a holiday parade, but we don't have a tree
Well,
lighting. Why
what,
can't we have a tree lighting?
I'll explain to you how that has evolved. There used to be, the Lions Club used to decorate Hyler Park and used to put a decorated tree. I agree with you. I mean, you see what they do in Cresskill is a big tree.
Yes.
I think, it may be a
Even
little
at
late.
Englewood Cliffs,
Well,
little old Englewood
I
Cliffs.
get it. Maybe it's maybe a little late for this year, but I think the first thing we need to do is identify a good tree. Okay?
But if we don't have a tree, can't we just buy a tree?
That's
Well-
part of it. We don't really have a great
Nothing in
holiday tree.
Davis Johnson Park that would work.
To buy a Christmas tree for
Buy a
Metropolitan
Christmas tree
Farms.
from a Christmas
Metropolitan Farms
tree
in
farm.
Alpine.
Get the
If we're
garden
going
club
to
to
do
buy a
that,
Christmas tree.
it's not too late to do that. And
Yeah,
I'm
let's
sure
do
like
that.
the Scouts or there'll be an organization that would be
Who does
willing.
the creche?
That's called the Holiday Committee. The Lions Club used to do the creche. The Lions Club kind of aged out. So there's a half a dozen people, and Jimmy Galodic, who's a carpenter. What's the woman's name that lives in Surrey?
I'm sorry, I can't think of it, but I know who you're.
There's
okay,
about
yeah.
4 or
people
5
live there.
very active. We approve it every year in early November.
Yeah, that I remember.
And they do the creche. Now, would they be willing to do the tree as well? Yeah,
Probably would.
they probably would be. And we.
I mean, we should buy a tree and, maybe even if you put it up here in the plaza out here.
We got our Christmas tree donated every year, but, well, not every year. Last year, we got a free tree from the county. They buy something.
Who's we?
Who's we?
We got one.
Who's
Where
we?
we put it up?
Where
in
did you
Highland
put it
Park.
up?
It's planted in Highland Park.
It's a real tree?
That was the
Is it a
tree.
baby tree?
Yeah, that was the tree that was at the
Van Zandt Park.
county's
Winter Wonderland.
Winter Wonderland.
They put out 70 trees. We were supposed to go decorate it. We didn't
Where
go
is
last
it?
year. We went this year.
Where
Van
is
Zandt
it?
Park.
No, is it a
No,
tree
it's
we
in,
can
no,
transport here?
it's in Van Saun Park.
Last
Oh.
year's tree
It's-
is in
it-
Hyler's Park.
But he's saying
This
that,
year's tree is decorated
yeah,
at Van
last
Zandt,
year's
and
tree
it
was
says Tenafly in front of it.
transplanted to Highland
No,
Park.
but we
Is
want
that-
it in Tenafly, not
No,
in
last year's
Ransom.
tree.
Okay,
is-
okay.
Last
So,
year's physical
um,
tree is in
Okay.
Hyler Park.
If the council agrees, we can go ahead and get a tree, and I'll speak to the holiday committee and see if they want to decorate it.
Yeah.
And next year, we'll turn it over to the recreation department and let them have a activity where
And
the
Yeah,
tree
that
is
would be good.
That makes
decorated
sense.
the rec
or
Makes
department
sense.
took the cheerleaders, I believe.
What if they
That
did it
should
with the
be-
cheerleaders at Van Zandt
They
Park?
went to Van Zandt, right? That's the
Cheerleaders, what it is?
See, I will say this, though,
Cheerleaders.
okay?
High school cheerleaders, the varsity cheerleaders.
In the past, when the Lions Club and now the Holiday Committee does the creche, Rabbi Shane does the menorah, nobody can say that the borough did a
Sure.
religious thing. So I think it's better off if we find organizations
I
to do
agree.
this,
Right.
rather than
That's fine.
doing, even the recreation department should stay out of it. They're doing Santa, they do a holiday parade, that's wonderful. But I think where the tree is concerned and the menorah is concerned, as long as we have a legitimate outside organization to handle it. So
Speak to
I
the
will speak
welcome
to-
committee, oh no, what
The
is it called?
holiday-
Holiday
Holiday
committee,
committee.
sorry, and see if
Okay.
they'll be they might want to do one this year.
I'm sure, it can be done this year. We
Yeah,
have
you
2
just have to
weeks.
buy
Trees,
it.
we can go over and get
From the Boy Scouts.
Boy Scouts, yeah. They're having a holiday tree sale.
Maxwell Engineering.
Yeah, we all got it.
Yeah, I have no idea what they are.
They're an engineering firm.
Say that.
Okay, anything else, Shama?
No, sorry, that's it. Thank you.
That's it? All right, so we'll take a 3-minute break, and we'll come back and open the meeting at 7:45.
We're gonna do it in here or
Do it
inside?
here?
Do it here.
What happened?
There
We
were
had
some
already
people
a meeting
outside.
and
They're
we
coming
closed.
here?
Pre-meeting.
I know I asked you that before. Good evening. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the notice requirements have been satisfied. Meeting dates for the year are confirmed at the annual meeting are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center, published in the record of the first 10 days of the new year. Copies of all revised or additional meeting notices are sent via fax to the record, Suburbanite, Northern Valley Press, and are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center. Salute to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bass?
Here.
Councilmember Hayter?
Here.
Councilmember Park?
Here.
Councilmember Zina?
Here.
Mayor Buster?
Here. Revisions to the agenda?
None.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the following sets of minutes. November 2nd, special meeting, the closed session. November 20th, the closed session, the work session, the regular meeting, the closed session, and the special session.
So moved.
Thank you. A second? A second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Public comment, I'll go around the room once, and if there's anybody that would like to speak, raise your hand. Anybody would like to speak?
Heads up.
Here.
Gentleman over here.
Please, just state your name and address for the record, please.
I'm not a resident of Tenafly. My name's Ted Lestrange. My address is 6 Jeffrey Court, Otisville. That's upstate New York.
Otisville?
Yeah,
Welcome.
thank you. That's near Port Jefferson. I don't have good news, but and I'm titled this Genocide by Scalpel, because that's a title given by one of the investigators into forced organ harvesting in China. Their updated research concludes that China's hospitals transplant between 60,000 and 100,000 vital human body organs each year, but China has no real organ donation program. Here in the US, with the most sophisticated organ transplant system in the world, a patient can wait up to 3 years for a matching organ to become available. In China, the waiting time is measured in weeks. An organ transplant tourist to China, including one from right here, can arrange a specific date for their operation, which effectively means that someone will be killed on their behalf on that date. It's a cultural taboo to donate one's organs after death in China. That's what's the source for all these organs. Translation of these facts equates to tens of thousands of prisoners of conscience each year being killed for their organs. Most of these prisoners of conscience are Falun Gong practitioners, but also Tibetans, Uyghurs, and house Christians. They are routinely blood tested and their organs examined while held in China's forced labor camps, detention centers, and black jails. A 1984 regulation, ironically, decrees that they and their organs become the property of the state. On June 13th last year, the US House of Representatives unanimously passed Resolution 343, which, in its summary, quote, condemns the practice of state-sanctioned forced organ harvesting in China, close quote. The European Parliament has also passed similar regulations. This has been happening for over 17 years, and still is a deathly silence on this issue. And that is why I stand before you, the elected and respected representatives of the community, to echo the heavy burden of this genocide as acknowledged by the House. China's total control of its own media and way beyond. So it comes down to this type of word of mouth to divulge what's happening. Many dedicated researchers have gathered an enormous amount of data from current and archived hospital websites, medical journals, local media reports, telephone surveys, and other evidence for the 865 hospitals in China that have performed these organ transplants. Some books have now been written and documentaries have been made with more comprehensive information. So I brought this package along for your kind attention. I thank you very much.
A question for you,
Yes.
sir. Do you belong to any sort of organization that is promoting knowledge of this issue?
I'm a Falun Gong practitioner. I practice that. So it's an individual effort.
Okay, and have you gone to any other communities in Bergen County?
Sure.
You do. So you're doing your best to spread the word.
Yeah.
You said that the House of Representatives passed a resolution.
Correct.
Has this been brought to the Senate at all? Just out of curiosity?
It ran out of time last year going through. I think there was 285 representatives that had co-sponsored it at that time, but because of the problems last year, it's
Have any of the very well-known national medical organizations come out in support of your movement?
it's difficult because sometimes they have relations with China and have connections.
Well, I'm just curious if you know, have any organizations that we have heard of come out in support of this?
I don't think so.
No. Okay. Well, thank you for bringing this to our attention. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any further public comment? Okay, we'll close the public comment section. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Before we go to the consent agenda, I have a question regarding V, R17-431, change order. Would you please explain this change order to us?
B is not a
V
G.
is a
V is
victory.
V as in Victor.
Victory.
Grove Street roadway improvements, change order number 1.
This is actually a credit to the borough.
Yeah,
It's a reduction.
Yeah, can you explain it? Is it
Well, what
something they didn't do?
No, oh no, not at all. What happens is that there are a lot of estimates that go into the specifications and the proposal. And the cost of the asphalt can vary during the course of the
So
project.
this was not a fixed
The-
price bid?
Max, if you click on, if you
Yeah.
don't mind me
Yeah.
interrupting, if you click on V,
Yeah,
on this, there's a letter that's showing the discount, and then the
And then
second
there's a-
page of it
I'm looking at it.
shows, the second page shows the unit prices, and I guess
That's what changed.
they
That
needed
shows
less
it.
asphalt.
That's why I was asking,
Right.
it was not a fixed price bid, was some sort of something having to do with whatever the price is at the time?
That's what the bids that are submitted are based on. They're based on the prices at that time.
Most of our bids for any type of road improvement or so are basically, you put it out for bid, people come and bid and say, it's $150, this is $120, and we give it to the one that's $120. So I'm trying to understand what makes this bid different that it varies and can get us a credit.
This bid is no different, and the term change order is used, like this project is actually completed.
Yes,
Every project is finalized with the final amount, and it's called a change order, because it's a variation from what the original contract amount was. But the unit prices are, in many cases, estimates, and that's why it gives you the amended quantity, and that accounts for whatever the changes are. In this case, it was $31,000 less.
All right, so again, this was not a fixed price bid.
It was a fixed price in that it
Well,
was.
the unit prices were fixed,
The
correct?
unit, well, not,
The
the
amounts?
total price, the total
It's up
bid
to,
price
right,
Was
it's
is
always up to.
fixed.
Okay, so then if the total fixed price was fixed, it was a subsection that said this is subject to the unit price? I'm trying to understand, how does this differ from a regular fixed price bid?
Well, you keep saying fixed price. The prices vary. Everything is based on an estimate. Our estimate of what we believe the project is going to cost is based on our best information at that time about the unit costs. The same thing for the people who submit the bid. Things change. Asphalt changes, the price of oil changes, the gas surcharge changes, all of these
So the bid was,
changes
was
occur.
basically subject to the changes in price of the asphalt, oil or something? I'm
Correct.
trying to understand that.
Correct.
Okay, I know that you're trying to jump and say
No,
something.
we
But, yeah.
we estimate the amount of quantities that are needed for a construction project.
Mhm.
Once we provide that to the contractor, he provides us with a unit price,
Okay,
right, for whatever the product is, curbing, blacktop, asphalt base. At the end of the job, we measure everything up, we come up with the actual quantities used, and that's what we pay the contractor.
okay, I appreciate, that was my
That's-
question, thank you.
And the
And-
advantage is that we don't overpay.
No, I wanted to understand, because most of the time, it's $600,000, and that's very,
And keep in mind that when we had previous discussions on soft costs, where we pay the engineer, and many times the engineer is like the clerk of the works. He's overseeing this, and as you can see, the change order is written on Mazer stationery. It's simply a matter of, it doesn't matter whether it's Mazer or some other
Yeah,
engineer.
absolutely.
These are the people that are responsible to us, and in this particular case, we save money. There are times when the change order is in reverse, and you
Yeah.
question
But
this
it's
well.
important to understand that every project concludes with a final change order.
okay, well.
And you should feel very,
I feel
very confident that if you have a question like this, you can take it
I
prior
thought it
to
was
the
important
meeting.
for the entire council to
Well, the
understand.
rest of the council would have approved the consent order.
It doesn't
If you have
mean
the
they
question,
consult,
I
the
know,
idea is to
but this is why
understand.
our meetings last longer than they should.
I think the meeting is not longer because we have
You're a
secret,
voice in the
closed
wilderness.
meeting.
Everybody else complains that the meetings last too long.
absolutely.
Okay, once again, ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Bash?
Yes, with the exception of DR 17-413, which I'm gonna know.
Okay. Councilmember Hayter?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer?
Yes.
Okay,
Would
well,
you like to recognize our appointees?
sure. There are two appointees here tonight. One is Carl Rossi, going to be our new director of DPW.
Hi, hello everyone. I'm Carl.
Hey, Paul.
Where are these on here? I wanted to point them out.
And Susan is appointed as the certified tax collector.
It was in
Well,
the
and
consent agenda.
After a lot of work and hard work, it's a familiar face. Susan is now our official tax collector, and she
Thank you.
deserves a lot of credit also. So
And-
any complaints you have about taxes, you send it to
And we'd like to recognize Bob Culbert, who's going to be retiring at the end of the month.
This will be the last chance we get to recognize this old face, Bob Culvert, who has served us well for a number of years, and you
And
have
we
big
have a
shoes
gift
to
for
fill.
him.
Okay, we have a little token of our appreciation.
Thank you.
They don't take tokens on the subways anymore.
Thank you very much.
But
I'd like to thank the council for giving me the opportunity to work for the Borough of Tenafly. It's been fabulous working with the mayor and council, and I'd like to say thank you.
you're
You are
very welcome.
welcome.
Okay, Next, we have a public hearing. Lisette, please.
The following ordinance published herewith was first read by title only on November 28, 2017, and posted on the bulletin board of the lobby of the Municipal Center. Ordinance number 17-25, an ordinance authorizing the acquisition of Block 715, Lot 12, commonly known as 9 Serpentine Road, in the Borough of Tenafly.
Any public comment on this particular ordinance?
You said it was the first reading.
We'll close the public comment section. Mark, would you like to make the motion? Might
Sure.
be your last motion.
Yes, it will. I move to pass and adopt on second and final reading ordinance 17-25. That notice of same shall be published according to law.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Bash?
Yes.
Councilmember Hayter?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember Zena?
Yes.
Okay. Committee reports. I'll start with you, Max. Do you have anything?
Absolutely. Yesterday, was it yesterday? Yes, I participated in the
Develop the bank.
senior
Center Board of
Center
Directors.
Board of Directors, okay, because Councilman Hyder was not available,
Councilwoman.
councilperson. Okay, whatever you are. Like, it's not gonna be one of those things. All right, I'll put a check mark over here. Okay, so there was a very lively conversation. First of all, they had a very, very successful fair that happened 2 weeks before, and 30 vendors participated.
This is a crafts fair.
Crafts fair, and 30 vendors participated. The charge per vendor was $40. They raised $1,200 based on that one.
Wow.
It seems that every single vendor, if it's true or not, was very happy with the amount of traffic, with the way they were presented and everything, and they asked if it's possible that to be the first in line for the next craft fair that's gonna hopefully happen sometimes in spring of next year, and it was very well received. There are new classes coming on.
Max, before you go to that, on the crafts fair, do you have a sense of whether, who the clientele was? Was it just the seniors that came in, or did they get some
They had
public in?
a lot of traffic, which was way beyond the seniors that we have
Good.
at the
It
center
was
over
mixed.
there.
I went, Mayor,
Yeah.
and it was a mixed.
Well, they did have publicity, so that's
Yeah.
good to hear.
Yeah.
And it was what was it, Monday?
It was a Monday, and
Monday
they were
morning, and people showed up.
Good.
and they were asking if it's possible for the next time to have it on the weekend, which would increase the traffic and will increase the profit, would allow us to even have maybe one more vendor if it's possible, to basically allow them. So that was very good.
Good.
Then there was a report by the chairman of the Board of Trustee that he or she met with you, and the issues discussed were was the fact that they could not do overnight trips, but you talked to them and said absolutely they are allowed to do overnight trips, and the issue of insurance should not be a problem. They discussed some internal other organizations things. They presented the financial reports. The Board of Trustees still has around $40-something thousand, and that's pretty much it. The rest of them we'll discuss later on.
Thank you.
What is
Uh,
your report?
You have anything, Sean?
Yes, I was at the Board of Adjustment meeting, and they had one very detailed discussion on a property which had come up before them and had been denied, but they had gone back, they had made significant changes. This was on Wood Hill Road, and the homeowners had really made an effort to meet all the requirements, and even though they needed a few
Minor variances.
minor variances, the board thought they were well within what they could give them, and they were granted the variance.
Good. That's it? Mark, do you
Yes.
have anything?
Yes, we had the ad hoc meeting at the Nature Center. Dan and I attended. Andrew was there, Peter Punzi was there, and Andy from our engineering, Mazer Engineering. We talked about the repair of the dam in order to fix the dam, raise the water level. We had a whole conversation about, is the $50,000 estimate that we all voted on an accurate number? and engineer says it is. He's gonna start the process of setting up a meeting with the DEP to discuss what has to be done, what the process is. It'll take about 3 to 6 months to get the permits. The easier the process is, if the dam is easier than we thought to repair, it'll be quicker for the permits. If it is what we think it is, it could be up to 6 months. But it was a good conversation, and that's what I'm reporting on there.
So
Any
it
questions?
sounds like we could get this dam repaired over the summer?
Yes, you can't, it's interesting, there was a whole conversation about, the question was asked, well, if the permit process is complete by March, can we start in, April or May? And the answer to that question is no,
Why?
because so many little critters and creatures are being born.
Bio,
Yeah, all the biodiversity is starting to grow, animals are being born, so therefore,
whatever's least intrusive to them.
right, can't touch anything
Until?
until after June,
Until their bar mitzvahs.
until their bar mitzvahs, or their christenings. So there you go.
So if you do that after June,
Right, so that might
was it
happen
a
in July,
schedule?
or
Yeah.
what might happen
Do
in
you know
July.
how long the whole thing will take to rebuild the dike?
Well, so,
6 weeks.
he said 6 to 8 weeks, depending on the nature of the repairs.
So
And
by
they don't have to
September.
drain the pond for that.
So there was a whole conversation about draining the pond, and that really isn't an option you wanna go with because
No,
of the time it
no.
takes to refill the pond.
Sure.
So you build temporary walls. So it all depends on the degree of repairs that are necessary, will determine what you have to do with that.
Okay, but regardless, the engineer is confident that the $50,000 that we set aside for this project will be enough.
That's correct. We asked that question whether we were still realistic in our assumptions, and he said yes, so that's good.
Dan, do you have any committee reports?
Just that the CAP met last night. They are moving forward with the program. A student made a PSA announcement, a video, and it will be being shown in at the end of January at the movie theater as a commercial.
Good.
What video was that?
A PSA on
What's
Must be
a
drug
PSA?
use. Public
Public
service
service
announcement.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's move on to old business then.
opioid use.
The first item is the tree ordinance. And I know once again, I love all our attorneys, you included, but I don't understand why we get these letters. Did anybody see the letter from Jeff Zen today?
No, it's
Oh,
not.
where is it?
Where is
it?
We don't have it.
Where is it?
Do you have it, Bill?
I have his email, yes.
It was an email,
An
wasn't
email,
it? It
right.
wasn't-
I want to talk about that, but I guess if there's a motion to take it from the table, then we could discuss the ordinance. But I see what he's saying, but I don't know why he took until tonight, because I asked him about 2 weeks ago for this. And perhaps, well, why don't we do that? Why don't we take it move it from the table, and then we can talk about it. This is real simple, we don't have to, I'll explain what
What happens
the,
after the
So you just need
Okay,
someone
you
to
can
take,
talk about it.
so you need a motion?
Yes, I need a motion to
okay.
remove 17, 18.
I move to remove ordinance 1718.
Hang on a second, why are we removing it?
Can't talk
from the
about
table,
it.
you can't talk about it until it was
Tabled it
tabled.
previously. It was
Table,
yeah.
so now we remove the
We're
table? I'm
untabling
sorry.
it.
Untable it, I understand, mister.
You ready?
Anytime.
Okay. I move to remove ordinance 1718 from the table.
A second.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, it's roll call,
Roll
it
call,
says.
yes.
Oh.
Councilmember Bash?
Yes.
Councilmember Nader?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember Zimmer?
Yes.
Okay, so now
Okay.
this has to,
To
Do you need
read.
a copy?
Confirm the
read
public.
it, that,
Do you
right.
need a copy of the email? Yeah.
I don't need it, no.
Do we have to make
I
a,
have to read it into the record, and then you can talk about it. The following ordinance published herewith was first read by title only on October 10, 2017, and posted on the bulletin board of the lobby of the Municipal Center. Ordinance number 17-18, an ordinance to amend and supplement Chapter 26 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Tenafly entitled Trees. Now,
Okay, let me go first. So, the purpose of this amendment was to make the tree mitigation requirements tougher, and exempting out what we called home improvements, where a pre-existing homeowner who had a CO'd residence wanted to expand, improve his property. We want to allow that to be exempted from mitigation, but we wanted to require any new structures where a developer came in, even if the trees fell within the footprint of the principal structure, that they would have to mitigate. Because right now, you'd be exempt, under our current ordinance, any trees that fell within the footprint of the principal building would be exempt. So, the way that I had changed it is I defined existing residence. That was a new definition that I put in. New residence would be a residential dwelling for which a certificate of occupancy has previously been issued. All right, so that would say an existing home. All right, I then defined home improvement. Home improvement was already defined in our ordinance, and I said that a home improvement only includes these changes: expansion or a garage, pond, patio, deck, driveway, sidewalk, or accessory building on a residential lot on which there is an existing residence. Existing residence being capitalized, so it means one that for which there's a certificate of occupancy. So those would be exempted for purposes of mitigation. Obviously, a new contractor comes in to do any of that, they have to mitigate. But Jeff pointed out late today,
When you say a new contractor,
anybody who's building a new home,
a new owner is what you mean, right?
No,
no,
anybody.
Anybody who's building on like knocking down the existing structure and building a new one, or you have a contractor or a developer comes in to build new homes, whereas now trees falling within the footprint would be exempt for mitigation. With this change, would no longer be exempt. So any type of trees that were removed for any type of improvements on a new lot, or if they knocked down the existing structure and built it new, even if it was a homeowner who knocked down their existing structure, mitigation would be required where it is not required now. But Jeff pointed out, and he's correct, that currently, if an existing homeowner were to put in a pond, or he said a driveway, I thought a driveway would be exempt.
Driveway is exempt.
He said a pond, a patio, or a deck, or a driveway, and again, for some reason, I think a driveway or a deck or a patio
Yes, they're
would
both
be
exempt.
He says that, well, now it would be exempt because it's included in the definition. He says that prior to this amendment, for a pond, a patio, or
A
an
pond is
accessory
different,
building.
a patio and a deck is okay.
Because they're attached.
Well, anyway, he says that we would be expanding the exemptions for existing residences the way we're defining it now, even
Well, I
though
didn't
we're
get that.
tightening it for developers and others.
I didn't get it. He means if somebody who has a CO'd house adds a deck, they should be required to do mitigation, or we can?
What he is saying is that's the way it reads.
Right.
He's not making a judgment.
No, I'm
No,
saying, what
no.
is his letter,
No,
what is he trying
Peter,
to
that's
point
not-
out in
that's-
his letter?
That's not what he said. He says that the way it is now, if we
Right.
didn't change it,
Right.
that if an existing homeowner wants to put up an accessory building, wants to put in a pond, a driveway, a new driveway, or a patio, or a deck, they would be required to mitigate.
Currently,
Currently.
okay.
That if we pass this amendment, those would be exempt for an existing homeowner.
You specifically did not mention swimming pools and tennis courts.
No.
Tennis swimming pools, tennis courts,
Yeah, we took
So
them out.
those are out, so those are not exempt.
right, they're not exempt under any
Any
circumstance.
circumstances.
And the pond is not, it was never exempt before.
I'm not sure where pond came from.
I don't
Yeah, where's
understand
the
either.
pond?
But
Pond
based on,
was in the
Is that something
definition
you
of a
would-
home improvement already,
Was
Oh.
it?
in the code, yes. All I did was add the reference
People add
to,
codes.
So the question I would
Existing
have
residence.
is, do we want to treat a driveway, an expansion of a driveway, as we treat a swimming pool and a tennis court? In other words, make them mitigate, or do we want to treat it like they're expanding their sun porch, or adding a bathroom, or adding to their kitchen? I'm talking about existing homeowners.
Yes.
Do you want to make a driveway exempt or not exempt for existing homeowners?
All right, so here is the whole thing. When I started this tree process, the idea was not to make it difficult on the existing homeowners that they want to put an addition, or they want to basically build extended driveway or so. We don't want to make it excessive on those people.
It's not a matter of making it excessive, it's either making it easier or
Well, that's why I
making it
mean,
the
but let me
same.
finish out, you'll get it. Once, the whole idea was that the existing homeowners should not be forced to mitigate. Well, if somebody comes and takes a new lot and basically raised it down, like happened in 54, what happened up on Clinton, they should have to mitigate and should not have. So, in the spirit of that resolution, basically, if a homeowner extends the driveway or extends the patio, they should not be punished for doing
Okay,
that.
that is your intent. Now, the
Yeah.
question becomes, is there a consensus on the council table to leave it that way? Now, we have to understand the impact, whether it's intentional or not, of what we're doing. If you're giving people the opportunity, whether they live there or not, if you're giving a homeowner the opportunity to widen his driveway and not mitigate, well, we're gonna lose trees. I understand what Max is doing as far as somebody wants to expand their home, that's different. I think we all came to an agreement that somebody, a current homeowner wants to expand the footprint of their house, they don't have to mitigate for it.
Yeah.
But this is beyond the house now. We've eliminated swimming pools and tennis courts. The question is, do we want to make them mitigate for driveways, ponds, and patios?
Okay, I would say pond is different than,
Oh, I never even thought of.
yeah, pond is different than driveway and patios.
Well, if the pond was in there before, and Bill says it was,
I didn't know that.
We should take ponds out.
So you want to make them mitigate for ponds?
Ponds is completely
Well, all right,
different.
that's your opinion. What about,
We want
Yeah.
to make them mitigate for a pond, but not for a driveway.
Yeah,
Maybe we should do it the other way around.
you want to mitigate for drive, you want to
In other
extend your driveway by 2 feet, you have to mitigate your,
well, if you're expanding your driveway 2 feet, how many trees can you take down?
The odds are there's not going to be many trees. with
Probably
two-
none.
that's what I'm
That's my
saying, that's
guess.
why.
So then it doesn't, you could leave it in.
But if
Because
That's
you've got-
exactly what I'm
what
saying.
You're
about-
not going to widen the driveway. by
Well, some
five
people
feet.
might, if you're in a 1 acre zone, and you want to double the, you know, all of a sudden your 3 or 4 car garage isn't enough.
Yeah.
You want to double the
That's
size of your
possible.
driveway, and you have to take down a couple of big trees to do it.
Okay.
Do you want to frankly, I think a driveway should be mitigated for.
A
That's
pond
just-
at least is something natural still, it's not like a swimming pool.
How many people are going to put a pond in?
Nobody.
All right. I don't want to spend too much time on
Maybe we
ponds.
leave pond in and take driveway out.
Ponds is
It's
pop
up to you guys, I
Yeah,
told
I
you
think so.
the
Well, I
philosophy
think,
of.
I think what you did with the house is great. I think a driveway, if somebody doesn't take down trees.
Patio and deck should be exempt.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think a
Patio-
patio deck should be
So I have a
exempt.
question. Can we pass this ordinance with the provision that we remove the word driveway?
No,
No, I would.
No, you will have to
rewrite
do
it.
Okay.
But-
This is substantial.
And just,
Mark-
just remember what you're saying, when you say patio and deck, okay?
And
So,
or deck.
well, because nobody builds a swimming pool without a deck. Now, you're telling people they have to mitigate for a swimming pool, but they don't have to mitigate for a deck, and a deck can be twice the size of a swimming pool. So I'm just saying, I like the idea of the house, I think that makes perfectly good sense. But when you start to give people permission to build a deck, I mean, they still have to worry about impervious coverage in the
Yeah.
backyard.
Yeah,
So
that'll
but
control some
but-
of it.
I'm just saying,
so what is,
Sounds
guys,
good.
your opinion?
I say
Mitigate
we,
driveway.
I say we take out the driveway.
and go with the deck and the
Yeah.
patio and the pond, the
No,
non-existent.
pond it should not, pond it should mitigate,
Forget the pond.
yeah, driveway and pond out.
Okay.
and we'll reintroduce it the first of the
Yeah.
year.
There you go.
We,
Well, I'm gonna change
Bill, what's the
the,
definition of a pond? How big does it have to be?
Oh, please, forget the pond.
I'm gonna change the
Bigger
way,
than that.
A minor pond or a major pond?
Depth, size?
so that means that driveways,
What was the
Or out.
definition today? Are driveway accepted or not? Accepted or not?
Driveway
right now
expansion.
driveways would not be.
So we're not
exempted.
gonna change that.
Okay, right.
And
So we-
ponds.
But this is only for expansion, right?
What about, accessory buildings You shouldn't have those either.
No, you shouldn't have. You build
It should
another
only be,
building,
should only be expansion of an
existing
existing home.
building.
Yeah.
That's the better, that would be the better way of doing it, I think, so I'd have a new definition of like home expansion.
Yes.
And, so if you're expanding your home, that's exempt, if it's within the footprint, but only if it's an existing
We'll go
structure.
away for a weekend with your attorney so you can understand this, because.
All right.
So that would be my suggestion.
Okay.
We go with it.
Are we all agreed?
Yeah.
We're all in agreement.
We're all in violent
Okay.
agreement. So what's the process now, Lisette?
So I'll change it, and you'll just reintroduce it.
Okay.
And when we reintroduce it, what's the process? You reintroduce it and 3 weeks after you vote on it, or what's the?
So it's a completely new.
Okay.
Right.
All right, next is the overview of the 2017 budget status and projections for 2018 budget.
Okay,
Our CFO smiling.
I have to go to my pages. So I thought that we actually had done this last week, we talked about.
We
the
kind of
overview.
did.
Yes, so it's basically the same information that I put in
You're writing
here.
now.
And I have to find it, because I didn't have it ready. Sorry.
It is the same information.
It's
Can
the
I?
same exact information.
Yeah, now it's in writing. Before you had it, and you were reading it to us, and
Yeah.
we didn't know what the hell was going on.
So,
Can I ask you a question, please?
sure,
In your revenue raising of the taxes,
Too soon.
we are at $24 million right now, based on what date?
that day was 12/8. That was not, that was the expenditures, Max.
24, okay, where
Yeah.
is the revenue?
The revenue,
No, I didn't see it.
oh, do you have that?
Yeah, where it says total funds available, the last column, 103.5%.
But it
Right.
doesn't, no,
Total
where's
state,
the, no,
no.
no, that's
don't
not,
have that here.
that's not
Total
revenue.
municipal funds, am I looking at the right
Yeah,
page?
you're looking at the right thing. See, what we're looking over here, this
Where's
is
the revenue on it?
basically
There's
to be
24?
raised by taxes, and this 23, 22. I just wanna know how much we have it up to date.
So the total, see Max on the left side,
I'm very much
see the
looking,
yellow
Oh, I got
section?
it.
I am
Yeah.
very much
The
looking.
line right above that
I'm
is
looking at
the
it.
total funds available.
Total funds available, it's different.
5550, that one?
Mark,
Wait.
total funds available is different. That's municipal type funds. It doesn't show the tax revenue.
So you want specifically the tax
Yeah,
revenue?
how much money did we so far got in taxes?
Well, our levy is like 99 million.
I'm sorry?
Our levy is about, that we take in all year is 99 million, so
99 million?
99%.
no.
99 million?
Well,
No,
we
we're
pay
not- we're
60
not getting
million to
99
the
School.
Board of Ed,
Right.
so,
Oh, okay.
so the amount, we have a very high collection rate.
Yeah, but how much?
So
99
60% so far?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's
93%?
based
How
on
much
total
did we
schools.
collect? If you have it, if you don't have it, it's okay.
I don't have it with, here,
Okay.
no.
All right,
The
fine.
amount that we expect to raise, the amount that we have set to raise by taxes is the 23,519,967. So
Yeah,
it should be
we understand that.
somewhere in that vicinity.
Okay, all
It
right.
doesn't show that here.
It doesn't
Right.
show, exactly.
No. I mean, if you told me ahead of time, I would have been able to tell.
Yeah,
but don't
you know,
have it.
we just got this one today because of the revisions,
Okay, that's fine.
so it was impossible to get it.
Okay.
Can we move on?
Well, do you want, is there anything else that you'd like to know?
Okay,
Because
you have over here the expenditures. What percentage are we at the expenditure, please?
it's about 93% with, the reserve for uncollected taxes, which is a non-spending account.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh, this is the.
next,
cost.
we'll go to something easy, the municipal turf field.
No, I thought there's a, we're not looking at the others, the
What other?
There is another one, is the
current
capital
and
request.
projection notes, the capital request summary, we're not looking at those?
Yeah,
I don't know, do you wanna look at, I mean,
Well,
that's,
we talked about the capital, right, it's at 2.7 million. And then last week I told you that 18, I'm getting in all the budget documentations from everybody else. The premiums for health insurance remain flat. We're trying to keep the operating flat from last year. And the only thing that we really need to look at is salary and wages, which are contractually obligated. And they're in the salary ordinances.
I do have one I'm sorry, were you done?
Yes.
Okay. I do have one question on the capital budget, since
Okay.
it's a public works question. One of the items here is to replace the 1991 Top Kick 611. What is a Top Kick 611?
For
Top kick
225.
is the vehicle.
It's a what?
It's the vehicle make, it's a top kick.
What does it do?
It's a GMC, it's a single axle dump truck. It's used for snow removal and leaf removal and
It's a
all
dump
the
truck,
other.
okay.
It's one of our first line pieces of apparatus for snow removal.
So there's the one we have now, is it working or not working?
Oh, it works, but it, you know,
Okay.
looking for
Just went
right,
out,
Pete?
just went out, just went out of warranty last year.
Yeah, it just came out of warranty. Yeah. They don't make parts for it anymore, so
Okay.
we have to start replacing these items.
All right,
I think
thank
that
you.
we're gonna discuss this in depth when we
Yeah, I
go
just
through
had that
the
one question.
financial.
I didn't know what that
Yeah,
machinery
to the,
was.
to the
He's asking
financial,
while he has
because
the
there are
chance.
some items over here
What?
that we
You're asking while
can
you have the
discuss.
chance.
Asking while I have the chance.
Yeah.
Okay. Municipal turf field.
Municipal.
I think the question that we left on the table last meeting was whether or not we would consider to do the entire field. The options are to replace the turf, the footprint that's there now, or to expand the footprint to encompass the areas between the turf and the fencing now. That's, in many cases overgrown, and it's a maintenance issue. We did hear from the Recreation Department. They are fully supporting expanding of the field. We got a cost estimate from the engineer last time as to what that would be. Obviously, nobody wants to spend any more money than they need to. However, you have to weigh that cost versus the maintenance cost and the value of what you're building there. So I'll open up the floor for any discussion. Mark, you have anything? You're the liaison of the rec commission, rec board?
So, first question I have is, we have how much in funds, Jewel, from last year that we put aside in the budget? 300,000 or?
420.
420.
420,000. So, it's really going to come down to a discussion at the capital time as to, where we come up, whether you want to come up with another $60,000 for the partial field or $160,000 for the full field.
Well,
Right.
the reason that we were asked to provide you with a preliminary of the capital budget was because we were actually recommending that this money should come out of open space, because taking it out of capital puts us in a very severe time bind in terms of when the capital process is concluded, given that the field is supposed to be completed by August. We don't run into those time constraints with open space. Plus, these numbers, both whether you do full field coverage at 594,000 or partial field coverage at 488,000, are significantly lower than the initial estimate that was under discussion of 750,000.
Which is
Question,
good.
Jewel. The 420 that we set aside, that was out of capital, correct?
Correct, but that
So-
was a year in advance.
No, I understand that, but what I'm saying is, so the only real discussion about where we allocate this funding from is for either 60,000 or 160,000. So I'm going to urge the members of the council to consider allocating 160,000 for this enlarged turf field from open space.
Why 160? You said we put aside 420, right?
But that 420 is not the full amount that's required.
Apparently,
That
the
was
price
base
we've
bid.
got right now is 480 for the field, the size of which is now, to replace the field.
For
we
the
have now.
current field without the full coverage.
To do the full coverage costs another 100.
594.
So, like I said, I'm suggesting
So
to
it's
the
170.
council that we pull 160 out of open space and do the full field. Dan, do you have any thoughts?
I mean, it's a little early because we don't know the full capital,
Well,
or the
it's
final capital rather.
Well,
the timing is important now, because if we're not going to, our
Right.
goal is to replace this field in
Do
August.
it now or wait till,
No, you still, I don't think if you have to put extra 60 or 170, why is that a timing issue?
Because if
You
you're
have to wait
going to
till
put it in
budget's
the
set.
capital,
Yeah.
that money will not be available
Until May.
until May at the
Yes,
earliest.
so we're not gonna
But
do
you
it before May anyhow.
you can't go out to bid if you don't have the money on hand.
Yeah,
That's
with
the-
your permission, you can go out to bid.
No, you can't.
Yes, you can, without having to have the money.
Excuse
in the-
excuse me,
in-
excuse me.
Yes,
Let me-
yes. And I
In
know you're
this
gonna
ro-
tell
in-
Jewel,
in-
oh, yes,
in
you
the-
can.
In this room,
Yes,
we have an attorney, we have an administrator, we have
Yeah.
a CFO. Who would you believe, since I know you don't believe the mayor, who would
Okay.
you believe if they told you that you cannot go out to bid unless you have the money in hand?
yes.
Who would
So,
you explain, who would you
let me
believe?
just say,
No, no,
we
I
will
want-
have the money in
certified
hand in May.
But you can't, but that's too late.
I don't
You're
think
not-
that
you're
it's too
not
late.
going
We
to
have
get
the
the field-
proposal.
Okay,
and
you
we-
know what, Max?
Yes.
When the field doesn't get built, it's on you.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
all.
trying to let you know,
It will
in order for
eventually
you
get
to do it, is I have to certify that the funds are there.
Yeah,
I'm not allowed to certify funds if they're not there.
yeah, so we can say that they're gonna be bonded, we can issue a
No,
bond.
you can't.
No,
Or
you
have to-
can't.
That's
or
too
you have-
bad. Why is it you don't believe anybody?
You know what it is, Max?
Because the
You run out
whole
of time,
idea
too.
is to get a quote
Yeah.
today and make a decision in one moment. I don't think that that's the way that we should.
It's not one moment, we've been talking
have
about
to-
this
No,
for
no, the
months.
prices came out this very day. They were not even on Fridays.
Or within 60
So
days.
they came out today and say, okay, you have 15 minutes, Mark, make a decision.
You want me to make a decision right now?
Yeah, I mean, so that's the whole idea.
Well, you know
is-
what, Max?
I have a
Yes.
We'll
question.
delay it till May, and like I said, when the field doesn't get built, it's on you. That's
On-
all,
on me.
very simple.
On me.
And it's not gonna get built. You can guarantee that.
Okay.
I have a
It's
question
too
about,
tight.
I have a question about timing. Okay, so you made a comment, it's too tight. What's too tight?
We have to
So
go
wait a
out to
second.
bid,
Right,
you have 60 days to award,
right,
the funds have to be certified,
right.
so the plan doesn't get adopted until, you need a period of time for the capital plan, won't be done until May.
Okay, so
So
my,
then, you would know the timing. If the plan is adopted in May, then you have to,
You have a 20-day stop
right,
period.
the 20 days.
And when going out, when awarding a contract, even for field turf through this network, you have to do a notice of an intent to award, and that adds an extra 20 days, because there's a public comment when you are awarding using,
Cooperative.
using a co-op that is outside the state of New Jersey.
2 readings.
so
You,
what's,
you know, this is a $600,000 project if you do the whole field. Okay, 420 of it already is out of capital. I frankly do not understand the reluctance when you have an alternative revenue source and you have an extreme pressure on the capital as it is. He needs a truck. We've got so many other things we want to put in capital. What is the reluctance?
I'll explain to you what the
Can I say
reluctance is.
something before you?
The fact that you have an alternative revenue source, it does not mean that it can be used anytime we don't have capital. We go to a revenue source and we use it for the parking lot, for the.
We didn't use it for the parking lot.
Well, that's what you requested, and we rejected it.
Okay.
But you requested to use it for the parking lot of the swimming pool, and you don't use open space money to build a parking lot.
What
And
are
it's
you
the
going to
same
use
thing.
your open space money for? Just
To
out of
acquire
curiosity?
open space.
And when is the last time we had the opportunity?
We
to do
had
that?
an opportunity last year, but we basically were precluded from doing that. So let's move and decide. The reason for that is you don't just want to say, we have that money, okay, well, it's not, but
No,
let's use it.
But you're not listening to every professional in the room when they tell you that if you're going to wait till May, the field is not going to get. First of all, you have no guarantee that field turf is going to wait until you decide in May or June. We can't even decide in May. In May, we start the bidding process.
Yep.
The field turf makes their schedule up months in advance, so you might not even be able to get anybody to come in at that late notice. But you know, Max, we promised a whole slew of people the field would be done this summer.
Okay.
We've also determined that the field really should not be played on next
The
year.
only issue
You're-
today
you're
is
jeopardizing-
the sources. We're
No,
not,
you're not. It's there's a couple of issues here.
No,
But the issue is, the main issue that every professional in this room is telling you, that if you're not going to use open space for that $160,000, you're not gonna get the field built in August.
I already took it out, we had to put more money from tax.
I don't understand.
Go ahead, you have a question first.
My question is, how long has this field been around? 12 years, 13 years? If it doesn't get done in August, May, and it gets done in August, it'll get done, Mayor. We're not
When?
saying we're
You
not
can't do the-
doing it.
You can't do the field
The
in
idea is
September or October.
we're not saying we're not doing it. If we go to that May schedule, what was the schedule, that 20
Well,
days? Say
you
by
miss-
June, what I'm trying to say is, it will get done.
Shama,
Isn't it better to get it
you-
done
you-
when we've all seen the
you-
numbers and satisfied ourselves?
You've missed a lot of meetings. Okay, in some of the meetings that you've missed, we've been told that that field is not really playable any longer. In fact, we've been told that so consistently, even by the engineer, that
field turf.
by Field Turf, the people that you met with, they've told us that that field needs to be replaced,
I'm not
and
saying
we
it
need
shouldn't
to
be
replace
replaced.
it for the fall season. We've committed to that, to the organizations that use that field. We have committed to that. We told them the field will be done for the spring, for the fall season. Okay? You have professionals telling you that if you wait till May, you're not, what I hear, maybe you hear something different, we both have good hearing, that the field will not be done in August if you wait until for the capital budget. Now, you got 420 in capital.
You
You
can-
have to think of that. You
Lizette,
have-
wait, go ahead, Lizette.
Let me explain the timing.
Yeah.
When you're going out to bond, you have to adopt the budget, and then you introduce a capital ordinance, and then you have to hold a hearing.
Yeah.
Then, once that's done and it's published, there's a 20-day estoppel period. Nothing can be committed, nothing can be promised until after those 20 days, and there's a record of proceedings. Then you have to do a resolution authorizing to go out to bid. And then you go out to bid, there has to be at least 10 days from date of publication, it can't fall on a Monday because of the lazy bidder law and the local public contracts law. Then you have to award the bid. When you award the bid, since it is an outside of New Jersey co-op, you have to do a notice for 20 days. After that, then they can order the product. That takes 6 to 8 weeks to arrive and then a month to install.
Alright, so here's what I'm saying.
We're like-
You wanna
That's
Yeah,
all
one
the
more-
time.
Yeah, Mark.
I have a question about timing, and what's the magic of August? Are we able to install fields in September?
No, yeah, if you don't want to play soccer and football on them.
It's
We
the
use it-
sporting, it's the sports schedule.
Right,
And the
but-
opening of school.
Yeah, that's
That's what's
driving
driving
it.
it.
Alright, so there is
So,
a,
You would gut the football program, junior football, and all of the soccer programs. That field is used 12 hours a day in September through Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
That's
So
the only
here's what I
the only
think
time
that
you
would-
can really do that field is in August. I mean,
Yeah.
July, you take the summer camps away, you could do it in July also. But the rest of the time, that field is busy with lacrosse, softball.
so here's what I'm thinking. If we basically say we can borrow from the open field fund, open space fund,
Can't.
and if we decided during the capital allocations that there should be part of the capital, then we paid back the open space fund.
Can we do that?
We can't do
Yeah,
that. We were
we
told
checked
that
that.
before.
So-
We
We
had that
checked
discussion.
into that, and
Max,
unfortunately
I
can't
want
borrow
to
against.
Why can't
Max.
I? Yes.
well, that's a legal
Legal
question,
question.
I can't
Yeah,
answer that
I
question.
don't remember the circumstances
We
under which
discussed
we
it-
checked that out.
We
but,
discussed it in reference to the parking lot.
you know,
So, Max, maybe the compromise could be, if we only do the partial field for 420, and we already have, how much?
No, we have
Excuse me,
420.
we only use the partial, we only do the partial for 480, and we have 420 on hand, and we use 60,000 in open space.
I go for that.
And get a suboptimal field.
So you're.
Well, it's
I mean,
like everything,
Mark,
it's a
Mark,
balancing
You're
act.
the
It's a
liaison
balancing
with
act, I agree.
recreation. Don't you listen to what they have to say?
Of course I listen to what they
So
have to
you're
say,
you're saying.
but there's also, I mean,
Well, I've
the
seen-
gentlemen over there want 2 big trucks for 225,000, you know,
But he
every
can't
department
use open
wants their
space
issues.
money for that.
Of course not. So everything becomes a compromise.
You know, basically what we've determined
That's
is when we built that field, we made a mistake.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And you're just perpetuating the mistake, Mark. That's what you're
So
doing.
it's not about perpetuating a mistake, it's
I have a
that,
good
it's about-
recommendation.
Go ahead, Susan.
Okay, you could take the money, the 160,000 from open space, do an ordinance, And then if you decide to do the 60 or the other thing, whatever you don't use could go back to open space. That's what I asked the auditors
There you
about
The
the
LT.
pond. And they said if we don't use, put the money from open space, do the ordinance to use it for the pond. If we don't use the 661,000 or the full amount, it can go back to open space.
So now we
why
make
don't you
the,
do
but the whole
plan
idea
where
is
you
the
have it
decision, we
if
don't
you
have a
need it?
problem. The question is now the decision between the,
Full or the partial.
partial or full.
So now
that'll give
that,
us time to-
yeah, so wait, a minute, let me finish my statement here.
Yes, go ahead.
So now, because long-term, doing the full field's the right choice, right? But now if we're able to return money, if we don't use it, then that's the goal you're talking about, right?
I think that's
If,
what you should do.
if we don't use it.
Yeah. And then you have time to figure this out,
Yep.
but at least you can,
Are
If
you-
we have, if
you
we,
okay?
yeah,
All right, okay.
Yeah, as long as we can return the money.
As long
if
as we can
return it.
return the money
I
that
checked
cannot
with
be
the
used.
auditors, cause I wanted to make sure before with the
And
pond.
we can return it.
Yes,
Right.
So
You're
if
not-
we
you're
use
not
that
using it.
60, the rest can go back.
yes.
Okay.
And that,
But plan for the most, and then if you need to put it back.
Well,
you can put it
at what point do we have to make, I don't know that you can answer this question, it may, maybe Jewel, you can answer it. At what point do we have to make a decision as to whether we do the whole field or just the partial?
back. Time to go
If we're
out
going to do
bid.
the whole field, then we should be putting something, we should be authorizing it in January. That was the
January
schedule.
we have time.
Yeah,
So
we
that's
have time to
fine.
think about
Based
it.
We can
on-
think about it, we can look at the numbers, we can
Shama, based
decide.
on what she just said,
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah,
Because then you can,
absolutely.
then you
Yeah, if
can
you
do the
can
full
return the
field,
money.
Yeah.
and you can return the money, that's what we started out talking about.
But there's a difference between thinking about it further and doing it. Are we going to do it? Because that's what I'm proposing. I'm not saying more debate.
Yeah, but you just gave us the
But we
numbers
can still
today.
debate.
You
if
can
want
just
to,
give
can't
us the
we?
numbers today and say, okay, you
And
have
what's
5
stopping
minutes to
us from
decide.
debating it further if we choose to?
Then you should make
If
a
we all want to
decision so
discuss
that
this
you can
further, why
get
should we
it
not
done
be able to
by
discuss it?
August.
Because
What
it's
is
some-
stopping us from
because it's-
discussing it?
Nothing other
So there you are.
nothing other than the fact that at some point in time, all right, you say you had 5 minutes to discuss. We've talked about partial versus full for a
Yeah.
while.
And the numbers
But
came out
we have
today.
We have one meeting in January to discuss this, that's on the
Yeah.
23rd. And the only reason we have to make up our minds sooner or later, Shama, is there's a timeline for everything.
Fine, we'll make up our minds in January, but I don't like to be told that we cannot discuss it anymore.
Nobody's
I
telling-
think
nobody's
exactly what Jules said right now.
No,
She
no,
didn't want
she's-
anybody
she's-
discussing it.
She's-
I think if we choose to discuss it January, February, March, because we are not ready to
we can
make up.
discuss it till the
That's
cows come
exactly
home.
what I mean.
Which is what we've
That
been
is what, if we choose to do it, but I don't like to be told that we can't discuss it.
Well, why would you?
Lizette,
I don't want
what's
to
the
discuss this
latest that
anymore.
we need to?
All right, we-
to go
we
out
made
to
an
bid,
agreement.
to
We
go
can
out?
think-
I think, Mark, yours is a very good
From what
compromise.
Yeah,
I like it.
Get it done in August.
It's
What was
very
the-
good.
You'll be
What
going, you'll be
Andy
going for the
recommended
next
was to be
argument,
done
what do you
by-
care?
to award
I
the
might come
contract
anyway
by
and sit in
March.
the audience.
Yeah,
Okay.
make some, have some fun.
They should make a decision by January, February, the latest. We need
Absolutely.
to
Okay,
make the
let's move on.
decision then.
23rd January, we have a meeting. We can come to an agreement by then.
Safe routes to
Why don't we
school,
just decide
federal
now?
requirements.
Full Open space.
Where are we now?
We're on D,
D.
10D, safe routes to school, Jewel.
Essentially, you received a follow-up that was requested from
Councilman
Andy
Bosch.
Hippolyte with regard to the process for moving forward with safe routes to school. It hinges on the fact that, as he pointed out, which is summarized at the top of their email, that the project is technically past its deadline. So at this point, if the borough wants to proceed with the project utilizing the grant, then a resolution has to be passed advising DOT that you want to proceed with the project. But included in the resolution has to be a project schedule. And then they go on to show you, inform you of what the federal requirements are.
Is this the project he was saying that it would cost us more to
To
fulfill the federal requirements than the actual money that we
Yeah.
got? Correct.
And we said we're gonna go then take this one to the joint committee between school and,
Cool, I thought
to
it was
make a
going to be
decision on
discussed
their.
there.
That
and
meeting was
decided.
supposed to take place last week, but they canceled, so
Yeah.
we're meeting on Monday.
So then
So
you
on
can-
Monday,
you
then
can come back
we, you
and
know,
tell us
discuss
what you
whatever
think.
they
Yeah.
wanna do, and we'll make a
And we can
decision.
Make a decision on that then.
Next is Max, you
Yes.
asked for the 2016.
Yeah, road program contractor. It was basically AGM construction. Here's the problem I have. And I want to bring it up to the council because it's important for us to decide. We have a contractor that did not fulfill his obligations. He was supposed to pave streets and then seal them. He decided that, either decided or not, that he did not do the sealing program. It was a proposal that we then make a change order, and basically they get scot-free for that part of the fact that they did not do the sealing. What's going to happen now, we're going to have to go out and bid that part of the program through another contractor. It's going to cost us money to do the bidding, and it's going to cost us money to manage it. It also is possible that the cost of sealing that part of the road is going to be higher than the initial cost than they bid it on. So after that, they get the money, they go happy home. Mazer is going to get additional money for bidding, for managing, and who knows for a cost for additional sealing. And the town gets basically paying for all the stuff without getting the services. I think that paying those contractors who did not fulfill their obligation is very wrong. They should be liable for the cost that we will incur as a town because of their not fulfilling the obligation. So the reason I'm putting it up because I'm asking, the change order was done. I didn't catch it on time. Sorry about that. Now there is a proposal, if you read, I read last week's Mazer proposal saying we're gonna pay something now, something in the spring. The issue is not to pay Monday or Friday. The issue is you should not pay them when they make us spend additional money because they did not perform. And that's why I want to bring it up to the council because I don't think that's right.
Before you ask any questions, Max basically has spoken his opinion on something. I would prefer, before you ask questions, that we get the facts, okay? So,
On the ceiling, the council agreed to accept the change order.
Well, that was a mistake, I agree.
But it was agreed upon,
Yeah.
nonetheless. So that money is available in capital. To seal the roads, I believe that process is under state contract. So there will be no cost for bidding
No cost for bidding?
because it's already bid
It's
through
already
state
been bid
contract.
by the state.
All you'd have to do is pass a resolution authorizing the purchase of the product through state contract. Then the product can be applied by the contractor and
Which contractor now?
the state contractor.
So we have to pay that guy then?
You were going to pay AJM.
Oh, so this is the money we didn't pay the first contractor?
In the long run,
Okay, right.
He
Shama,
wasn't
you're going to
paid,
save
yeah.
money.
No, but I mean,
Hang on a second.
that's the money we haven't as yet paid.
Right.
Okay,
Correct.
all right.
Correct. And that could be overseen, the ceiling, it could be. You
I'm
could-
sorry, isn't that Mazer gonna oversee that and provide a closing of the contract and everything else?
You would just have to verify.
Yeah, but
You
is
would
that-
use them to verify.
And isn't that gonna a fee for that?
Yeah, well, you were gonna pay that fee for.
We already paid a fee for
No,
finishing
no,
the
Hold on a
project.
second, hold on.
no, we
Yeah.
didn't.
You would
Yeah.
still pay the fee
Yeah,
to Mazer if the ceiling was done under AJM.
Yeah.
Which you haven't paid the fee
Oh,
to Mazer
okay.
because that portion of the contract wasn't done. Now, you won't have to go out to bid, you can go through state contract, and there'll be a few hours just for them to verify the unit pricing that has to be verified by the contractor to pay the state contractor.
So dollar-wise, we don't pay anything extra?
Dollar-wise, you're gonna be making out better by doing
Why
it through
is
the state
that?
contract.
Why are we
Why,
making out
why
better?
are
Because-
we doing better? Why didn't we think of this before we gave AGM?
Because that's not what was requested.
Because that's not what was requested, it was
By whom?
requested that we put it
The
all
council.
in.
By
The
whom?
council wanted it all in the paving contract.
This body.
yeah, but if the paving contract was a part of the contract and there were pricing from the state, why was that not included in that? Why is that like, we were basically subject to getting higher prices instead of using the lower pricing ability.
Because the contractor can't take advantage of that, and he wouldn't be
He
able to
he
do
can't
it.
do it, okay.
And when he's.
No, I'm saying,
he's
in the
putting-
contract, why didn't we use the pricing that?
Because the bond, the performance bond is under the contractor. So we wanted it to go.
All
If
right,
you
so
would-
we're not spending more money.
Right,
You're
and
not.
to answer your
Okay.
question, Tom, if you recall, when we were discussing doing the paving program, there was the concern that was expressed about durability.
Mhm.
And that's why that was added to the contract as an alternate.
One shot.
So,
One answer.
So I have a,
That would have been
I have a
preferable.
second question, which is not related to this, but somebody like this contractor who does not fulfill his requirements, I hope we'll never use him again, but can he be sort of blacklisted by us,
Well, the
or somehow
problem-
we,
Very,
can
very
we,
It's very
can
hard.
we,
You
is
should-
there a
Sean,
place we can go
Sean,
and
if
say?
you were on the council before, you understand the handicap we
Right.
work
Yeah,
under
yeah,
because of these state laws.
yeah.
Lowest acceptable bidder.
Right.
To get somebody off the acceptable list is almost impossible.
Well, then maybe by word of
You know-
mouth, we should let other towns
Well,
know.
the word of mouth doesn't matter. If he bids and he's deemed acceptable by the state,
It's really horrible.
Susan has a comment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Susan.
it has to be
QPA.
your own prior negative experience. You can't go around telling everybody else,
Recommendations.
you don't have to use them again.
We don't
Never.
Our
again.
negative experience, but it's your own.
so
You can't be
listen,
going
the
out
long-
with everybody else.
the long and the short of it is, there's nothing wrong with asking a question. But the accusatory part of it is so out of bounds, it's unfortunate. And we waste a lot of time on it as well. Next.
Let me just note though, because this is why it's always hard. They have done work for us in the past with no problem.
AGM.
Yeah.
The same
Yes,
people?
The
Yes.
same people.
Was it because they didn't know how to do the
No,
surfacing, or it was
Well,
something
what-
outside
is
their
They,
experience?
they got a very late start.
They got a late start, and then,
Now, whose fault was that?
oh, it's never us, it's always the contractor.
Well, why is I mean,
Take notes,
there,
Carl.
it's late.
Well,
It's late. They started late, but it's gonna be late also when we do that with another contractor. What
Well-
would be the difference?
Well, no, the
No.
next
The money's
contract was
already
coming
there.
in the spring.
Listen,
Yeah,
as
I'm
long as
saying they
we're not
could do the
spending
same
more
thing in
dollars,
Well,
I'm happy.
you know,
Let's move on.
Again, it almost falls back to the example for the field turf. If you don't say yes now, then
No,
by
no,
the time you do say
We
yes.
said yes before. Why can't they do it early in the spring? And what's the
Because-
difference?
No, it
The
was,
same
it
thing,
was,
it's the same thing
Right.
with the,
With
we
the
can't
time.
go out
those
the
funds weren't
contract
approved
until
until May.
you pass your bond ordinance and the funds are
But
available.
we're talking,
Yeah.
Apple, we had a contract with AGM to have them seal the roads after they repave.
Correct.
based on the 2017 capital.
Yeah, and they basically will not gonna they will not be able to do it in 200, and we're gonna redo that on 2018 and beat it out. I mean,
No.
why couldn't we
No,
just?
no,
No,
No.
the state contract. No
Through
bid.
state contract, but it's basically still
We
a
got a
2018.
very late start, and this is why we resolved in the future to
Right.
go with with Riverside Co-op.
Right.
Because we did it on our own, the money was not an issue, the timing created a real problem for us.
I know.
The difference is now the money is already there. This is 2017 money and it's already available.
Last but not least on old business, Max, you asked for a liquor license for a railroad train station?
Yes,
contract?
absolutely. And I would like
What's the
for,
question?
you asking, I'm gonna answer. I would like Bill to explain to the council the possibilities that we have with a liquor license.
Okay, at the league, I attended a class on liquor licensing, and something that they brought up, I don't know if Lisette knows about this, but the state licenses, state-issued licenses to municipalities for municipal-owned property, the concession license. Yeah, I don't know if you know about that, but,
When Max told me, I called the ABC
yeah.
and they said for you to call the ABC council, that they weren't
Yeah.
going to give any information.
Right, well, I listened to the whole seminar, and they had one of the ABC guys there, and they said that
What is
there-
ABC?
Alcohol
Beverage
beverage
control.
that municipalities can get a state-issued, like a permit almost, to have alcohol served at municipal-owned property. You can bid out the lease with the stipulation that as long as the tenant qualifies, and the tenant has to go through a qualification process, but if they qualify, they can have the right to actually have a state-issued liquor license to municipal property without a regular plenary license that would normally be required.
Are we assuming that it's only gonna be a food establishment?
Though I didn't hear anything that.
No, I'm just asking
right,
in
that
terms
required
of
that.
our bidding process, because previously it was a hair salon.
Thank God that.
It was a hair salon.
Yeah.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So are we assuming that we are only bidding for use as a eatery?
We could specify the
The
use.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. We'd have to adopt, I think you could do it just by resolution.
Yeah.
I thought it would have to be an ordinance, but I think they said you could do it just by resolution to authorize a state-issued concession license. And it seemed like the process was very quick.
That was a different question.
But what? No. We can specify the use
Okay,
through, because it's our property. We
right,
can say we're only going to look for this type of tenant.
okay.
And I would
Well, I have a
think,
question, because this will be a liquor license, the liability, we would have no liability, would we, if we sell?
it would still fall under our normal JIF policy. So it
And-
could present increased premium, but the amount, and this is what they said, the amount of money that you can get rent-wise for essentially a licensed premises is significantly more
Of
than you can get from.
One question though. For some reason, I thought the answer to this question is no, but maybe I'm wrong. Are you allowed to serve liquor outside?
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 Actually, someone asked that question at the league, whether or not, where it was a municipal, like plaza, and they wanted to license a specific spot, and whether they could do it outside. I think the answer was yes.
Well, I would ask you, before we go any further, because I think this is an important part of the process, and when does this come up for bid again?
Later this year. we
Yeah,
have
I
to-
think their lease might be
2018,
up.
right?
2017?
18.
2018.
18, sometimes the middle of
Well,
February, I think, or March.
we need to get a definitive answer on this
All
and
this.
find out about the outdoors,
Outdoor?
because a good percentage of his business, as it stands now, is outside.
Sits outside.
And, you know, once again.
But
if
it
you
may
go-
not be him, so I mean,
Well,
but we
but
still.
whoever it is, we
Wants
want to know
outside.
whether
I
or
think
not
there's
they
a
can
lot more
serve
rules if you want to
liquor
do it
outside.
It's gotta be fenced
And,
off
you know,
and
we
stuff.
we also have a situation where, since we're the property owner,
Mhm.
and if liquor is not allowed outside, and there is liquor outside, is that a problem for us?
Well,
Don't we have,
the tenant
no
becomes
liquor?
sort of like the licensee,
Mhm. But
under,
can we lose the ability to have a license there if it's not?
I don't think so. They might revoke that concession license, but you could just apply for another.
Okay, if that's the case, but would
Yeah.
you
But I'm
find
gonna
it?
check that out about
And the
the outside.
license is,
It's
it's given to the borough, right?
Right, the
So
borough,
if
the
the
borough
tenant
actually,
goes bust and leaves, we still have the license?
right, you
or-
still have that concession
Okay.
license for that.
Yeah,
Yes, I did.
it's
Any
a
tenant-
win-win.
But any
We getting-
tenant has to satisfy all the same
Of course,
requirements in terms
of course,
of
that
can't
should
have
be
any
a-
record, have to be qualified to hold the
Well, it's
plenary
a, it's a
license.
very interesting thing, but also, you know, you run, you know, there's a difference between having the cafe, which has worked extremely well, and having a bar cafe. I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's something you have to take into account.
Let's find out the
Very-
details.
very
Yeah,
first.
and then the amount of revenue is 3 times as much.
Well, we don't know. We go out to bid and we see how it falls.
Yeah, but it's-
you would like to
I'd be
think,
down
look,
with
What I'm talking about.
there's reasons
All
why
the restaurants.
restaurants
sit
pay a
outside
fortune
and
for a
have
liquor
things
license, because they make
going
money on
on.
liquor.
Absolutely.
Fencing area, yeah.
More money than all
Okay.
the food together.
Under new business, we have prepayment of taxes.
I was going to ask everybody about this.
Who put that on?
I did.
Oh,
I have to tell you, Susan, every news I've watched in the last few days, they've all been talking about that. They've been telling everybody, go prepay your taxes, go prepay your taxes before
Yeah.
you lose the exemption.
Which
So we're
is
getting
wrong.
lots of phone calls
Which is
from our
wrong, I'll tell
residents.
you why.
So what I did was, if you saw the memo, I surveyed the surrounding towns, and I asked them what they were doing. Well, first I reached out to the state, and they're giving no guidance on this because the legislation really hasn't been passed. And they said it's up to the local unit. So then we're getting many phone calls, and my recommendation is to accept taxes through the full year 2018.
Yeah.
So we could estimate based on 17, the full year 17, and use that. And then when we do our fourth quarter taxes, we
You
can,
can adjust.
when we send out our bills, we can reconcile. But you know, I'm not going to give any financial advice to anybody because they need to consult with
Yeah, their own
their
person. Exactly.
tax professionals.
Absolutely.
But, you know, a lot of people are, you know, one town is actually going to tell the residents, should you do this, don't come back to me and ask for a refund. I don't think we could do that. I don't think it's
Hang
advisable
on,
to
but
do that.
this is becoming a little bit more complex, because we're gonna have to give them 1099s, yes?
Only if they ask for a refund.
But if they
Let's say
don't,
they take the property tax deduction in this year.
yeah,
They come in tomorrow.
yeah.
They pay into 2018. Then next year they come back to the tax department and say, you know what? The legislation, they
Did not
raised the
pass.
cap, I don't wanna pay that much. I want some of that money back. So then if I give the money back, they have to fill out a W-9 so that we could get their
Okay.
social security number and they have to get a
So,
1099. Cause they already took the deduction.
Yeah,
They have
so
to claim
we're
it
not
as
set
income.
up to do a 1099 as a
No, we can, we can do it.
I'm saying, but as a township,
We could do that, yes. We could
Well,
set, we could do it.
What
do it
would
now.
your recommendation be? Would your recommendation be to not do this at all, to do it, or to
She's
do it
given the
and
recommendation.
under the caveat that people cannot ask for a refund?
I don't think you could, I don't think you can say, that's only one town that said that.
That's a
okay?
terrible thing.
I don't think you could say it, but what people should know is that they're thinking of paying like, I had a guy call the other day, his taxes are $20,000 a year, he wants to pay 40 before the end of the year. People have to remember that they have something they can deduct next year. There's a $10,000 cap
maybe,
next year. So
maybe.
maybe, it's,
But they have to talk to their
Maybe,
own tax.
and
they
they-
have to talk to their own
Everybody's
tax
individual,
professional.
yeah.
I'm
We
not
can't be
gonna give them
telling
advice, but
No.
I even had one person that wants to pay, more than one, that wants to pay into 2019.
Oh my
Okay,
God, people
so-
have cash.
Well, you know, you have some,
So what is the advice?
My
Use
advice
them-
is, let them do it through 2018, and then, you know, you have to have the money to do it too.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And then,
So this is
if they come for a refund, so be it, but I really don't think we're gonna, you know, I don't think they're gonna become for refunds, because I think most of them are gonna pay first and second quarters, which they're are already in their tax bill.
Yeah.
And no
Then
refunds
they're-
or ask,
No, refund, yes.
with refund with a 1099?
Yeah.
They have to get a 1099, so before they do something, they're all asking, so I would explain to them, know that, should you ask for a refund, and you're gonna get a 1099 from us, you're gonna be asked to fill out a W-9, and you're gonna receive a 1099, and you're gonna have to claim this as income next year.
Right. And how would you let people know? What would be the process? It's already the 15th of the month. What would be the process to notify? I mean, what would
Well,
be the steps?
whoever
You know
calls
what,
and
the
wants to know.
legislation is
Yeah.
even passed, it's still
Well,
not done.
the
So
question,
the
the
question, the
question
people come
becomes,
No,
the question
it's
becomes,
I'm not
do
gonna
you
tell them.
feel it's our obligation to notify people?
No.
I mean, you know,
If I
people,
feel-
because you're gonna open up a can of worms.
It's not our
People
obligation.
already had the ability to prepay. They could
They
prepay
can.
already. The impetus should really be irrelevant.
Mhm.
We can already accept
Right.
It's
prepayment.
not
But
our
sometimes we'll
responsibility.
let them pay what was
That's like
billed.
giving tax
What was
advice.
billed
So,
is
in
preliminary.
your experience, has anybody, is it very common, or how many people in the past have prepaid?
We have prepayments, not like we're gonna get this
Sometimes
time.
because people are gonna be traveling.
No, I understand, but you
Yeah.
also take the deduction a year early.
Right, well, when the ones that usually prepaid, they have to keep doing it, if they wanna keep getting a tax deduction.
Right.
But now we have a panic on our hands,
Mm.
because Tenafly, you know, there's taxes to be paid, some $50,000 and more. They
Yeah.
want, you know, it's some easily 40,000.
I'm surprised that the people that are crafting this bill in Washington haven't taken this into account.
Well, I thought maybe I could raise the issue a little more through New Jersey, but, and if you, the state said, I talked to a person in the tax area of the state, they said they had several different towns comment on this, and each town has their own opinion of how
Well,
they
I
wanna
think
handle
from
it.
listening to the talk at the table, I think we agree with you that we will allow people to prepay through 2018.
And
And
will
then-
allow a
And
refund.
they have to be told in advance, or when they come in, maybe you should hand out a flyer that says
That's exactly.
That's a
pre-
good idea.
That's
prepaying,
exactly what happened.
if you ask for a refund,
This
you're
is
gonna
what
get a
you-
W-2 and you have to fill out a
Well,
W.
a 1099,
You're gonna
you
get
you
a
have to be
W
with this.
nine, and you will get a 1099.
And I don't think it's our responsibility to sort of inform the world that.
No,
Yeah, I don't think you wanna be
I would-
informing
We don't want,
people.
that's why I wouldn't say the
No,
website, we
no,
don't want to
no,
I
encourage
would
it.
ask you to craft that flyer, and run
Okay.
it by Bill and Jewel,
Because that's-
to make
that's
sure
the
that
best
they think it's worded
And if
correctly.
e-
they ask, they get a flyer.
Yeah, if they ask, they get it. Otherwise, it'd be like giving tax advice. I don't think that's our
No,
job.
I can't give them any
Yeah.
advice.
Okay,
I have a new business issue if we're done with that topic.
okay.
It won't be long though. So one of the things we're challenged with at this table is preparing for long-term capital expenditures. We often find ourselves in situations where, whether we're paying for a field, a parking lot, we have a pond at the nature center, we want to buy things with open space, we always, and I mean, all of us at the table here, we're always in a situation where we kind of make last-minute decisions sometimes, even if the last-minute decision takes 2 to 3 months, okay? And one of the things for 2018, that the council and the new council people might want to consider is having a subcommittee of the town council, a finance committee, where you have members, a couple of members of the town council, right? A couple of members of the public, our administrator, our CFO, to start looking at, not budgetary planning, because that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about large capital expenditures that are long-term, that are multi-year projects, that we can have a group of people that are focused on to possibly consider alternatives and just do some advanced planning, so that we're not ever in a situation, or we're in less situations where our back is against the wall, right?
Well, I disagree, because I think we put our own backs against the wall.
Why?
That's
I mean,
just
we
the-
already do now.
We put our backs against
Right.
the wall, and I'm not exactly sure, if we got people at this table that question our professionals, they're not gonna question a committee made up of citizens?
Sure, well, so, I'm not saying this because I'm questioning professionals. I mean, I'm specifically saying the administrator should be on that committee, and the CFO should be on that committee, not to question
You wanna ask
professionals.
the administrator and the CFO if they think this committee's a good idea before you put them on the committee.
Well, that's a whole, but that ultimately is not their decision to have the
Yes, that's
committee or
the
not.
Well, decision is of the
But
council,
no,
isn't
but
it?
you're talking about establishing the committee, and you're suggesting something. I'm making a suggestion too. Before you
Fair
go
enough.
ahead and do
Right.
this, I think you ought to, but once again, the mindset of some members of the governing body is whatever they argue with everything that's brought to the table.
So,
I-
that's,
you
but
know,
that's not, I'm not talking, that's a whole separate topic to
it certainly
discuss.
is.
I'm talking about, let's say, for instance, if we want to purchase open space, or target a particular, property, where we have a group of people who are, their conversation is about how we raise the money to do a particular project, when they know it might take 3 years' worth of planning. And as a general rule, the members around this table, myself included, we don't do planning 3-4 years out. Our planning is for our current budgets, what we're doing this week, next month's meeting, that sort of
And
thing.
do you recall during the budget process, when we get to capital, there's about 5 columns going out 3 or 4 years?
Of course, but that's not,
It's
but
not
I'm
the-
talking about for major projects. I'm not talking about buying new police cars or
What are you
putting a
talking,
new
can you
green.
give me an example of what you're talking about?
If we're gonna spend $500,000 on a field,
Yeah.
we should have a subcommittee that if, we've been talking about the field for 2 years, all well and good, but
Well, what would the subcommittee do differently?
to have a very specific, focused, do their homework, do their investigations to figure out the best way to pay for it, because this has been a 24-month process, right?
But what I'm suggesting is 3 years ago, we were put on this body, not everybody was here then, but 3 years ago, we were put on notice that this field was reaching the end of its useful life. It's now past, every professional has told us it is now past the end of its useful life. Okay, that was 3 years ago. We've hemmed and hawed. We're hemming and hawing today. Now, we've decided on January 23rd, our backs are against the wall. We'll make a decision, or maybe we won't, because I've heard at this table that maybe we should wait till May to make the decision. So I'm not convinced that we need another group. I think what this
our group here, the 7 of us, have had to have a mindset of making a decision. You used the example of the field. It wasn't because we didn't have notice. It wasn't because there was no
Yeah.
planning.
It's not about, that's not the topic.
That was
think
the
what
example
you're
you gave.
suggesting.
I thought that was a good
Wait, let me
idea.
just,
No,
let me
I'm sure
just,
you would.
let me
Yeah.
finish my thought. It's not about questioning professionals. You know, we have 10 people at this table, but we also have a recreation committee, we have a DPW department, we have individuals who are specifically tasked to accomplish very specific things. If we had a group of people who were tasked with, consider the implications of long-term, large projects, okay? We could wind up with the result where the smaller group of people come up with more concise ideas quicker, and then the people at this table, just like the rec department, the DPW, comes to us with suggestions, and we either approve them or we reject them. And if it doesn't work, what's the harm? But it's just to
Another
bring
set of
focus.
eyes, it's not gonna
all.
hurt anybody.
And it's not about the budget itself. I'm not talking about the budget. I'm talking very specifically long-term, large capital
Bill, can
projects.
the council approve such a committee?
I don't see why
Yeah,
not.
we can do whatever we want.
So,
Okay.
let's, I think it's a
We'll
good
talk
idea.
about it next year.
You can talk about it in January, yeah.
I think it's a
No,
good
because
idea.
I was thinking that you should basically run with that. You have an idea.
I'm only here for another 3
No, but it
weeks,
doesn't
so
matter.
I don't get a vote.
It doesn't matter that if, a good set of eyes regarding financial obligations, financial planning, every company is gonna tell you, sure, let's do it, so I don't see
And
that.
nobody's bound to the decisions.
Yeah.
If you get another
to-
set of
it's up
eyes,
to
somebody
people to
does the
stable in
homework,
January.
Yeah.
somebody does all the
Okay,
legwork.
let's,
I'm in agreement of that.
Yeah.
And
Something
we'll
to
bring
think
it
about.
up at the next year and vote on
Yeah.
it.
okay. No mayor's remarks. We're gonna go into closed session now. Bill? You don't
Okay. All right. Resolved, compliance with NJSA 10:12, Mayor and Council, going to close executive session, discuss the following matters. First, for our personal matters, one being an update on fire prevention employee. The second is an update on some teen center matters. The third is an update from the finance department, on finance department employees. And the last is an update on the DPW investigation. And we also have some attorney-client privilege matters. That's the monthly status update on pending municipal matters, legal matters, and possible property acquisition. This will be taken to the meeting and released to the public at the time matters are resolved. After this closed executive session, Mayor and Council reconvene in this Richard T. Wilson Committee room to adjourn this public meeting.
Motion to go into closed session, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.